All right, everyone. Welcome to Ball Cap Bible Study. I'm Wade Cruz, pastor for senior adults at Quail Springs Baptist Church. And here we are on the week of January 15th. Many of you will get this on the 16th because that's the day I'm recording it. So I didn't get to it yesterday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but even more than that, we had Snowmageddon. It actually didn't snow that much, but it never got below like 6 degrees here in Oklahoma. So South Carolina friends and North Carolina friends, it's coming your way. Hopefully, it's not as bad as this. We've had to run our water and all that kind of stuff. Okay, today I'm rocking the Under Armour United States flag hat. It's a new one. I got a blue one. Got a black one just like it, but I got this the other day at Academy. Not necessarily advertising for Academy, but that's where I got it. I will advertise for these guys. Uh, I love this cup. My son got it for me, Tommy. I don't know if Andy had anything to do with it. Anything that Tommy and Andy get me, I keep. I cherish. Uh, their gifts, their time, their acts of love and kindness. You guys know that about your kids, right? Okay, so today, well, let me start off by saying I think next week we're going to enter into a series. We've had several standalone ball cap Bible studies. We're going to enter into a series of put on the full armor of God and talk about those things, those pieces that Paul talks about that we could wear, what they are, what they do, why we would, and they're metaphors. You'll see. I mean, they're not. It's not a literal helmet, but it is important that we get it. Paul related a lot of things to sports. Jesus related a lot of things to agriculture, organic. Paul talked about boxing and running and now he's in kind of that military deal and it just kind of reminds me of what the guys in special forces look like when they're all geared up, and we're God's special forces. So okay, today though we're going to talk about the Sabbath, because when things get closed, when there's a holiday, you rest. I tell you what, uh, some of you know why, but I've missed out on some sleep over the last 3 or 4 months. And Sunday, when we got home and church was campus was closed because of the weather on Sunday evening, Rachel and I both just crashed in the recliners, and I bet I had a 90-minute nap easily, and it felt so good. Um, I haven't been sleeping all that well and didn't get much sleep before that. So it felt good. And it kind of, I looked at Rachel and I said, I understand why man needs a Sabbath. So we're going to talk about Sabbath a little bit and some of the things the Bible says about it. That's way more important than anything I say about anything. So let's look at where it began. You know where it began. It began at creation. And here's a concept we need to understand. Um, God was not tired. He did not need to rest uh, to regain his strength. He rested, one, to set an example for us, two, to appreciate, to sit back and say, yeah, what I do is good. So here we go. And it's the end of chapter 1 and the beginning of chapter 2 in Genesis, creation story. Okay, verse 31, end of chapter 1 says, God saw all that he made, and it was very good indeed. Evening came, and then morning the sixth day. Okay, so what God does is good. What man does, not so good. But what God makes, what God desires, what he wills, it's all excellent. It's good. It's perfect. And it's the best for us. I mean, the old saying, um, in an argument or a debate, who's going to have the right answer? God, not you. You can arm wrestle with God, you're going to lose. There's two ways to do things, right? God's way and the wrong way. Okay. So God is good. What he touches is good. What he makes is good. What he desires into existence is going to be good. So the heavens and the earth, everything in them were completed on the seventh day, or were completed. Sorry, I read that wrong. Let's try it again. So the heavens and the earth and everything in them were completed. Period. Break. Verse 2, on the seventh day, God had completed his work that he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work that he had done. So there's an emphasis that God did this. If you read it, so the heavens and earth were completed, everything was done. God had completed his work that he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all the work he had done. You see how that's this repeated emphasis? God did it. If you've never been to the Ark Encounter in Kentucky, I strongly recommend it. It's connected to the Creation Museum. They're not on the same property, but they're an hour and a half away. But I haven't been to the Creation Museum, but there's a lot of creation stuff at the Ark Encounter. And I thought it would be hokey. I thought it would be like going to an alligator farm in Florida or, Dino Land on the East Coast or something. But, or Jellystone Park, one of those things. I'm telling you, it's a wow moment. It's worth the trip. I mean, even driving all the way to Kentucky, it's worth it. I mean, like I told the class Sunday, I've got a master's in theology, and I walked away with my faith stronger than when I showed up. It was cool. It was, that tangible, I can touch it kind of stuff. I can see it now. Um, so on the seventh day, God had completed his work that he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work that he had done. God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, for on it he rested from all his work of creation. So the Sabbath, if nothing else, besides giving you rest, it should also remind us who made all this, who Jehovah Jireh is, God our provider, right? Um, it creation should give us pause. Have you ever driven somewhere like the mountains, or I mean, some people, wherever you live, you don't appreciate it. It's like, you know, people in Florida don't go to the beach or whatever. But uh, being a flatlander, I mean, I drive to the mountains, it's breathtaking. I mean, it takes your breath away. It's like, wow, how fortunate are the people that get to live here. Um, but the Sabbath lets us pause and ponder and think about all the stuff God has done. There's a neat book. I don't have enough faith to be an atheist, and I highly recommend that. If you've never seen it, go look it up. But it literally, you have to make up evidence to be an atheist. I mean, you can't look around and see everything God created, and then all of a sudden, I mean, you have to deny it. Does that make sense? It's not. It doesn't take anything to believe it. It's there. It's right in front of you, but you have to deny that there's a creator, that there's a God. And then it's so important. God made it one of the top 10 things he wants us to do, right? Um, Bear with me while I go to Exodus chapter 20, because that's where the 10 commandments are. Exodus 20. On my phone. All right. So, he's the Lord our God. Uh, don't take his name in vain, all that. Okay, here we go. Let's see. This is the Christian Standard Bible version, so it's not going to sound exactly like KJV or even NASB, but here we go. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. You are to labor 6 days and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. It honors God to rest. Does that make sense? I mean, God set it up for us. He knows what we need. He made all this. He provides. You must not do any work. You, your son, your daughter, your male, your female, your servant, your livestock, or the resident alien who is within your city gates. For the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and everything in them in 6 days. Then he rested on the seventh day. Therefore, the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and declared it holy. So why don't we go to church on Saturday? Well, that's our Sabbath. Sunday's um, the first day of the week. And then, but it says, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. So Jesus was being challenged by the Pharisees because his guys did some stuff on a Saturday on their Sabbath. Finally, Jesus had had enough, and he said, "Hey, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath." And Jesus is Lord of all. He's the Lord of the Sabbath. And they got mad when he said that, obviously, but because he's busting up their traditions and their stuff. But I want you to think about this. We'll close with this. Um, Jesus had his final rest on the Sabbath, didn't he? Crucified on Friday, taken down from the cross, and then he rested. His physical body rested in that tomb. And then he sprang forth alive on Sunday, the Lord's Day. That's why we go to church on Sunday, because every day is resurrection day for us. But it does not negate the Sabbath and to honor God by God doesn't want you to work 24/7. I know there's a lot of stuff to do, and we don't want to do the legalistic thing where we, you know, oh, I can't take one more step or it's work or I got to make food on Friday, that kind of stuff. Jesus talked about if you have the ox in the ditch or your son in a well. Well, I got a cat trying to come in. She's smart. She's trying to open the door. But anyway, um, what do you do for a Sabbath? Do you rest? I highly recommend it. Um, but I don't think you should do anything because I say so. You and God work that out because uh, the Sabbath was made for you, and you honor God with it, and you get to pause and survey all the wonderful things that God made. And the Sabbath should bring you closer to God. The Sabbath should be a time where you can meditate and you can relax and you can recharge and you can be available for what God is going to need you to do the rest of the week. But worship on Sunday, rest on Saturday, and just remember who the Sabbath was made for. But more importantly, remember who is Lord of the Sabbath. All right, I'll see you next week.